Hi, it's Tasha.
What it do? It's Erica.
And we are
Finding freedom.
All right, guys. We are here answering questions today. And so we're gonna dig into it, the questions, and just elaborate a little bit further. Yeah, each of us are gonna answer both of the questions that we had. So
if you're just tuning in, we had this here cup,
goblet,
if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we had questions, some pieces of paper in here that we, dug out of there. We now have them here, and we read off of them, and we selected them. We had some shorts out there that you go check out.
Please.
You know what I'm saying?
Instagram, Facebook, and
TikTok. Okay. So, yes, but
like,
we are on there.
Subscribe, and share. Do not forget, please.
Listen to her, please. Thank you. All right. So, the questions were, what's the biggest challenge you are facing right now? And the sub question was, how are you handling it? Okay. And the second one was, what is your favorite self-care practice? Bam.
Yes.
So
for the first question, that was the one I drew. What's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now? I'm going to just answer that part first. I responded with trying to balance life in general, being a single mom, a student, and trying to live my best life. It can be overwhelming at times, just like all of the different roles, and with me, like I struggle with a fear of failure, and like just trying to be perfect and trying to be the best at everything I do, which includes school, which includes work, which includes being a mom, and so that puts a lot of pressure on me. It causes a lot of anxiety. That's something I'm discovering. My anxiety is literally rooted in fear of failing, and so I have a lot of pressure that I put on myself, really, and I'm learning honestly that it's just the fear is really unrealistic. Because failing, we talked about this kind of today. Failing is not really realistic either. I mean, what is failing? You know what I mean? When you fail, it's really an opportunity. You either can learn from that opportunity. It's a blessing in disguise sometimes. Or, it could just be that that's not for you, even for relationships. And so, or it may not be that time. The list goes on, but it's truly a struggle for me. It's truly, a fear that I have. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself, and a lot of my anxiety is rooted in the fear of failing. And so when it comes to balancing these roles, that plays a big part. That anxiety plays a big part, and it can be really overwhelming for me sometimes. And that's why it's hard to balance too. But as I am growing and maturing and learning that failure is not an option. No, failure. That song, it just came to mind.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, no, failure is inevitable, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, failure is not bad. It does happen. Sometimes you're gonna fail. You might even fail a test. But what does that mean? I gotta study harder. I gotta learn how to balance everything else so that I can make a better grade and pass, or whatever the task may be that you may not be successful at. So that's a big challenge for me, overcoming that fear and just trying to balance everything, feeling like I gotta be perfect in all of those roles. And it's a challenge, but I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm getting through it. And how I'm handling it, I just kind of explained it, living it, and giving myself grace. That is the biggest thing. Therapy is helping me a lot. Antidepressants too. That really is helping me too. That's something I've incorporated into my self-care. Medicine and mental health is really a part of self-care too, which we're going to talk about next.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to stop right there.
Yeah, but one thing I can definitely say to you is that I'm really proud of you.
Oh,
You know,
thank you.
I really can't. I really am going to say that to you because you definitely do balance a lot. You juggle a lot. And I see that on a daily basis. And it's like sometimes I will look at you and be like, man, I can't even deal with certain things that you deal with because honestly, it's just not my life. You know what I'm saying? It's not the grace that's on my life. You have that grace to juggle certain things.
Yeah.
And, you know, in comparison to, you know, to my life, I really am definitely proud of you for juggling everything you juggle on a daily basis and still be able to handle everything. So I'm proud of you. Happy for you.
Thank you.
No, but really, no, I really am. And you know, I can definitely see that, you know, I can name some things for her. I'm just gonna elaborate on her because she deserves some flowers right now. But you know, she juggles, you know, having a 2-year-old. Who? A 2-year-old that's really 50, okay? And then and she's her own person, like, and then you got to deal with school, got to deal with work and other personalities at work. And I'm not just talking about just dealing with people just on the job. I'm talking about her clientele daily. That is a lot to take on. Then have to deal with your own mental health, your own emotional health, and deal with your child, deal with studying for school, different things. And gratefully, luckily, it is a subject that she loves to study. Because if it wasn't, woohoo!
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is. Excuse me. I'm definitely proud of her. And I just want to say that. That's how to give her a few minutes, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
But no problem, girl. You know I love you.
I love you too.
But yes. For me, the biggest, I have to look at the question again. What's the biggest challenge I'm facing right now? The biggest challenge I'm facing right now is definitely dealing with not being so reactive. It's a big challenge because I noticed that, you know, I just kind of started a new job, and I'm not going to elaborate too much on that, but I did. And it definitely is challenging daily. The things that I deal with there. And how mentally it can play its part on me and emotionally, because I deal with also, you know, some issues in relationships, and that can be very challenging in itself, because when you feel like you're right about something and you know where you stand about certain things, and you're trying to communicate those things, and the other person doesn't get it, just doesn't get it at all, it's a challenge. Major challenge. And you're trying to be as clear and concise and precise and emotionally intelligent and all of those terms that people in psychology use to describe being, I guess, a person that is open and free, that wants to communicate and be healthy, using healthy communication. Try to use all of those, and it still don't work. And at times, I guess for me, it's teaching me that I have to deal with things in other areas in my life. And so that's the biggest challenge for me, is not being so reactive. So whenever somebody pisses me off, you know, I don't, you know, react by or being spiteful. Not that I'm a spiteful person, but when you feel pushed into a corner at times, you really do want to react in certain ways. And I really feel like I'm being taught how to deal with have different responses, you know, and do it from an authentic place, not out of a place of emotionalism or me being upset because this person ain't doing what I want them to do. And it's like, it's helped me to understand them from another perspective. It really is. I'm handling it by making sure that I bounce it off of other people. Like this one. Like Tasha. You know, people that you can trust, a confidant. And like I'm going to go into later, self-talk, prayer, making sure that I have proper spiritual guidance. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of this matters, you know, when you're dealing with things that's in here, and especially here and it's harder hours. So that's how I handle it. Like, that's how I'm handling, like, my biggest challenge right now currently. Because I mean, just like we had a conversation earlier, we are evolving people. We don't always have the same problems at every stage of our life. If we have the same problems probably at every stage of our life, it probably means that we're probably not growing too much. You know, and there needs to be growth and development in some areas. There could be some arrested development happening right there. You know what I'm saying? And so that means that we probably need to deal with those areas and really get help. Therapy helps big time too. That's how I'm handling it too. Therapy, bouncing things off of other people, but most of all, starting with me first, self-talk. Gotta do that first. If it ain't working, or in addition to self-talk, I talk to somebody else. I talk to my therapist. I get spiritual guidance. Point blank, period. There we go. And we're going to talk about the next subject, which is...
did you answer the sub question? Like how...
I did.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You said I did.
I did. Mm-hmm. I did.
Sometimes I be other places. That's all I want to say. Like when I'm in conversations with people, and I don't even mean it on a deeper spiritual level. Sometimes I am, but no. Sometimes my mind wanders. That's all. So yeah, that's why.
Especially when we're just talking about something, and it's not really much engagement. It can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
the next question: what is your favorite self-care practice? So I have several, but my favorite one, that's kind of tough. I would say the one I go to the most is writing. I journal a lot. I even have like special journals, like a self-care journal that like helps you lay out your routine. Like for me, it's a necessity. Like I need routine, I need structure. And that's something I'm learning about myself. I need it. It helps me function. It helps me feel safe and secure, especially like balancing, like I said, so many different things. And with anxiety, my mind is always working. And so I need structure. I need lists. I need, all of that. And so, yeah, like one of the self-care journals I have, gives you a whole routine. You lay out your routine, write about your mood, how it starts off, and at the end of the day, you do an evening one, and it tells you like, how did you handle the day, and what are you feeling right now. It really allows you to ground yourself and be mindful and present with yourself in that moment, and really think about your feelings and emotions. And it also helps you to reflect on what helped you, what didn't work for you during the day, and what does. It guides you through that self-care. But yeah, just writing and journaling in general. I like to write. I'm a writer. I'm a scribe. It just helps me to express myself. I'm not big on words. I'm not big on speaking, but I can write all day. This, even with like texting and stuff, I know it's so like looked down upon, but I'm a texter. I can text you paragraphs. I can write paragraphs before I can open up my mouth and really speak and feel comfortable doing it. So writing is my self-care practice that's the most favorable for me. I just really enjoy it, and it just helps me express myself and pour out. Yeah,
I'm the complete opposite. I do not like to write. I'm not a writer. My mind moves too fast for me to write. Like, I have to talk it out. That is my absolute favorite self-care routine. And I think a lot of people, when they think about self-care, their mind goes to, going to get their feet done, nails done, or, for men, going to get their hair cut, hanging with the boys, or I don't know. But that's all a part of self-care, but it's not anything, for me, it's not an outward thing all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's me actually like having to sit with myself, because I have to decompress. And not saying that I do this all the time every day, but I definitely do, especially before I leave the house. And I think that, I was telling Tasha, that I noticed that that's been something that I have to do before I leave the house. Like, I have to sit with myself and be like, okay, this is how I feel today, and I can't stand the way I feel right now, and the things that happened from the night before, or things that are going in my mind when I woke up that morning, just all these thoughts, and I have to sit there and I have to get through it in my mind. Writing about it, it doesn't help me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that there's others out there like me, who can definitely attest to, how I feel. And definitely Tasha. There's so many journalers out there that really do journal. Like, they really do, like, make sure that they, every day, 3 times a day or more, or whatever their routine is, they do it. But that's really my biggest one. I really have to do that. And I feel like, what you do in your personal time, it reflects in your time around other people, And so when you're able to get that stuff out, it helps you to be able to be more expressive to people. Just like Tasha said, she, because she deals with it in her personal life, she can probably write, letters and
literally, yeah. I'm a
good
writer.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, for me, I'm a talk. So if you need me for something, you need me to take up for you on something, or you need me to professionally deal with something, or you need me to handle a conflict, I'm your girl. I'm the one people come to and be like, Erica, can you handle this? Or I don't know what to do. And I'd be like, all right, well, let me handle it. Or something as simple as, making a phone call to somebody or a phone company, because the phone company ain't wanting to pay your bills, and they're getting frustrated. I'm like, oh, give me the phone. I got you. And I handle it. You know what I'm saying? So our strengths are our strengths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, just kind of when you're engaging in self-care, capitalize on that strength. That's basically what I got from what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I liked that she pointed out was that that self-care is multifaceted. Like I said, I teach this all day. Like, self-care is not just one thing. It's not just, like she was saying, the physical things that you can do. There's spiritual self-care. Mm-hmm. There is physical self-care. Taking care of your body, exercising, eating, which is important too. It really mm-hmm. is. There is task-oriented self-care, cleaning your house, okay, taking a bath. That's self-care too. Going and get your nails done if that makes you feel good, that's self-care. But it's multifaceted. There's a whole wheel. There's a whole spectrum of self-care, and all of them matter. Feed your spirit. If you're not spiritual, look at YouTube. Look at something intellectual, that really grounds you and brings you mental stimulation or spiritual stimulation. If you are religious, read your word, or read, whatever script you look at, or practice meditation, mm-hmm. whatever works for you. Like I said, it's really broad. And, I encourage everybody to look at it on that spectrum, not just as one thing. It's just literally taking care of yourself. Your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your physical, mm-hmm. even sex. If that's something you need, take care of that. If you got to do it to yourself, do it. You know what I mean? Whatever it is that you need to connect, to feel better, to feel whole, to heal even.
Yep.
It's just taking care of yourself. Literally, it's taking care of your body, and everything in between, and it's really important. It needs to be prioritized, like, we're always saying, because if it's not prioritized, you really can lose yourself. And, depression will creep in, and take over. Sometimes you have these thorns like depression and anxiety, but it's really about managing it. Mm-hmm. And self-care helps you do that. It really does.
And also, like, really getting to the root of some issues. And I know sometimes it takes years. Yeah. Sometimes, we don't really recognize that we have these issues until something presents itself to us. And we're like, oh, dang. I keep reacting the same way to the same, to this. Like, what is it? Like, why do I keep, and it's like, and I find myself in that situation too, talking about, reacting. I find that I'm not healed in certain areas, and I'm learning to deal with those areas right now. When it comes time for family situations or relationship situations or workplace situations. Like, you know, why do I react like this? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel inadequate? Why do I feel whatever? And it's like, you know, to deal with inadequacy, you got to figure out, okay, so where is this coming from? You have to sit with yourself. You know, are you going to talk it over with yourself? Or are you going to write it out? Which one?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But you have to get it out some type of way. You have to sit with yourself and deal with yourself.
Yes.
You have to see why these feelings are the way that they are. You have to see where they're coming from. It doesn't matter about who you are, where you came from. Sometimes it may irritate you to have to even deal with these issues. It may irritate you. You may feel just agitated, just ugh. But you know what? That agitation is there for a reason, to show you something about yourself. It's to show you, like, yeah, it's something there that's wrong.
Yeah.
Agitation and pain are indicators that something is wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
Period. So we have to deal with those issues. We do.
Yeah. You know, and some may call it shadow work, where you're really sitting with yourself and dealing with the pain, you know, dealing with the irritations, and really taking time to really focus on healing. It's just necessary in this journey. It takes courage too. It takes a lot of courage to open up and say, okay, so there's some problems here, and I need to figure out, okay, how do I get through them? Where did they come from?
Right.
You know, what's triggering me right now?
Right.
Why am I reacting this way?
Right.
And then, you know, once you start that journey, it's kind of like you can't look back. You know what I mean? You start that process to healing, and then just find your freedom.
Yeah. Yes. Onward march. No, but for real, it's the truth. Like, and I know it's hard, because I know looking back at myself, how it was hard to actually look at myself and to see, like, okay, I really got these issues. But for me, I love to do introspection, because a lot of times I want to be right. That's why sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But other times, no, I really authentically want to see what the issue is. And I want to see what the issue is with myself, and then see how I can fix it. You know?
Yeah.
But I think sometimes I can do that to a fault, and trying to fix the problem with somebody. And they be like, give me some space, because you're doing too much. You know? And I have to be like, all right, dang. And I have to accept the fact that I did it wrong. You know? And so really sitting with yourself and dealing with yourself and having that self-talk, journaling, that matters big time. Like, it does.
Yeah. And I like, and we had talked about this before, but we be having some conversations, y'all, and it be off the chain. But so before we even, you know, got onto this, we were talking about how it's important to not always feel like you need to be right. And that's something I'm learning, because, like, sometimes it's easy to go that route when, like you said, people look to you for wisdom, or you feel like so strong about an opinion, or, you know, you feel like, okay, well, this is how I feel. You know, it's not about always being right. You know, everybody's feelings are valid, whether they're right or wrong, they're valid. That is how they feel. That's how they see it. You know, it's really, especially in relationships, it's really about coming together with those differences and really finding a solution.
Yeah.
How are we going to work through this? How are we going to talk about this? How are we going to solve this problem? And it's not about right and wrong. It really isn't. You know, and that's where a lot of conflict that is unhealthy takes place.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. Sitting with ourselves and dealing with ourselves first. I mean, that's the only way that you're going to be able to actually be able to get along with other people. If you sit with yourself and deal with your issues first. Like, if somebody keeps telling you, hey, Erica, you keep doing this and it bothers me. Yeah. And you're like, but I'm just, and trust me, I'm talking about myself. Like, I'm like, but I'm sorry that I keep doing this to you, but this is why I'm doing it. It don't matter why you're doing it. It's hurting me. Yeah. And it's like, I'm like, ooh, you know, I'm finally realizing that, dang, like, I'm doing this and I don't mean any ill will towards a person or people, but it's still happening. So it's a problem.
I've said that to you before.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a problem.
We've probably said it to each other before.
Yeah.
It's like, I hear you. I know that's not your intentions. You know, that's why I'm talking to you about it, but it still is a problem.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, they're not bringing it to our attention, or they weren't bringing it to my attention. I'm talking about me right now, y'all. They weren't bringing it to my attention because they wanted to hurt me.
Right.
Bring it to my attention because they wanted to make sure that they made me aware
Mm-hmm.
of something I'm doing to them to hurt them.
And they trust you enough to tell you, okay, this is bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's out of love. It has nothing to do. But we get so offensive
and defensive.
Myself, and defensive myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about me now. I definitely am sensitive, and I can take offense very easily and get defensive in return.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you know, learning that it's not personal. It's personal, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, this is hurting them. What can I do to make them feel better?
Yeah. Yeah. And that really matters.
Because I love them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, not even just the fact that we love that person as an individual. I can just love people, period. I just have a heart for people. I'm so empathetic. Both of us are.
Mm-hmm.
And we just want to do right by people, period. You know what I'm saying? And like, our callings are to people to really bring them up out of the mire and muck. Like, that is just the calling that we have. And we can't help but to be that way. But we first have to work on ourselves in order to be able to recognize that in other people. That's why we're presented with all these things now, so that we can see ourselves, deal with it. And then when it's presented in those people that we are helping and help bring healing to, you know, then, you know, we can easily recognize it and help them to walk through a solution, because our solution may not be their solution.
Right.
We're two different people, you know? We all have different sets of fingerprints, all individualized, all unique. Mm-hmm. So the way that I am and what helped me may not help somebody else the way that they, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to really use discernment. That's why it really matters when we are sitting with ourselves and dealing with ourselves in quiet at times. We have to be discerning. We have to be able to hear what somebody's not saying. Excuse me. It really matters a lot, big time. And that's why, going back to what we were saying, self-care. Mm-hmm. If you don't care for yourself, you cannot care for nobody else. That is the absolute truth. It is what it is. You can be out here, you can be a preacher, you can be a teacher, you can be some type of leader in a multi-million-dollar company, you can be just anything in any capacity. If you're not dealing with yourself while helping all these people, you will be drained. You will be no good. And that's why suicide rates are the way they are. People don't feel safe to talk to. We just had this conversation earlier. People don't feel safe to talk to other people. They just don't feel safe because and a lot of times they don't feel safe enough because they really haven't done their own work. They haven't dealt with themselves. They haven't sat with themselves and said, you know what, Erica, you really got this problem. You need to really deal with it. Like, you really be out here wilding. You know what I'm saying? And you really don't. And it's hard to admit that to yourself. But we got to. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and like self-acceptance too is what comes to mind too. Just accepting, like, okay, this is where I'm at. Mm-hmm. You know, and like self-actualization, where you're like, okay, I got this problem, you know, or this area of growth, you know, and really, like you said, really like sitting with yourself, you know, and doing the work. That's really important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, we covered a lot.
We did. Yeah, I feel like I'm repeating myself now.
But sometimes it warrants that, you know.
Yeah. It's definitely necessary. That's how you understand, through repetition. Yeah. Even cycles, whether they're toxic or not toxic, you know, that's how you learn. So
don't ever count it as a failure. It is not a failure. You might have failed at something, but you're not a failure. I was gonna say that. You are not a failure. You know, yeah, you may fail, but you are not a failure. Whenever we have failures, it is always a lesson. Always. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's for me too. You know, did something to me. My shanana.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes. We hope you guys really, really took something out of this. Mm-hmm. We hope you enjoyed this. You know, we love y'all.
Love you.
And continue to find freedom. Because we on a journey to do it.
Okay.
Okay. We love y'all. Bye.